Welcome friends, James Corbett here with your Fukushima update for the 23rd day of October 2011. It is currently 5 p.m. Japanese Standard Time, so let's get straight into the updates for today at fukushimaupdate.com. And we'll start with an editorial, the first in what is a veritable slew of editorials today, I suppose because it's the weekend and newspapers and other sites tend to publish longer editorials at that time. I'm not really sure why, but there's a lot of editorials to go through today. The first is one from a website called Nuclear Free 2045, and it's talking about a PBS documentary called Radioactive Wolves that aired earlier this year, and looking at some of the lessons that we can learn from the ways that animals were affected by the Chernobyl fallout. A very interesting editorial, so I highly recommend that you take the time to read through that. But moving right along, let's look at some of the other updates for today. We have this editorial, Post-Fukushima, They Can No Longer Be Trusted If Ever They Could. And this was published in the Japan Times. It's by Roger Pulvers, talking about when he was a kid in Las Vegas and watching the incredible sunsets, and his dad explained that's from the atom bomb testing they do. But isn't that dangerous, Dad? Do you think they would do it if it was dangerous? And talking about that mindset that some people have, that simply because it is being done, well, it can't possibly be dangerous because, of course, they have our best interests in mind. And, of course, trying to combat that mentality. Again, another interesting editorial, and I hope you click through and read the entire thing. But getting into today's Fukushima update for day 227, I wanted to start with this, highlight this interesting article in the Japan Times on Citizens Forum queries nuclear experts, and I'll read a bit of this for you. It says, "To whom does scientific debate belong?" That was a central question raised by many of the 200 plus people who attended a Citizens Forum in Tokyo on October 12th, as they criticized the ways in which the Japanese government and radiation specialists working for it are assessing and monitoring the health effects of the ongoing nuclear disaster at Fukushima. The day-long conference, organized by the Japanese citizens group Say Peace Project and Citizens Radioactivity Measuring Station, featured experts who dispute much of the evidence on which the government has based its health and welfare decisions affecting residents of Fukushima and beyond. And I really hope that you go through and click the continue reading, as all of the truncated versions of any articles on the site have, so you can go and actually read this for yourself, and you'll get this Japan Times page. It's a really interesting article, and I hope you will read it, because it goes to the heart of a lot of the questions that I think a lot of us are asking, which is to what degree do average citizens have a say in the scientific debate, or in the debate about things like nuclear safety, where there is certainly scientific expertise at play. But because someone is not a scientist himself, does that mean he's not entitled to an opinion on subjects like these? It's a really fundamental question and very interesting, and it goes through a lot of the people who have published alternative ideas about the effects of radiation that are not held by the mainstream entities, lots of which are beholden to the nuclear industry, as I'm sure a lot of people know. So, again, a very interesting article. I hope people click through on that. I also have other Japanese media headlines. Mini hotspot emerges in Kashiwa, talking about a hotspot with 57.5 microsieverts per hour. Journalists keep close eye on Fukushima workers' exposure. Tokyo International Film Fest opens with performance of Fukushima hula dancers. TEPCO will need 1 trillion yen from the government for compensation of disaster victims. Absolutely ridiculous. Here we have this private corporation that, of course, needs the 1 trillion yen bailout to just compensate people for their own calamity. And of course, where are they going to get it from? Well, the taxpayers, the people who are there, they're actually helping. Ridiculous. Blood clots found in veins of evacuees' legs, not necessarily Fukushima related, but still very interesting. Fukushima power plant video shows progress, and that links over to an NHK video, which if you click through and you load up the video, it's this one that was released just earlier today.
Tokyo Electric Power Company has released new footage of the damaged Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. It reveals the progress made over the 7 months since the March 11 disaster. Video taken on October 12th by TEPCO workers shows roads that have been cleared of debris and a makeshift levee constructed along the coast. On the west side of the compound, holding tanks have been set up to store salt water left over from the process of treating highly radioactive wastewater in the reactors. Each tank can hold 100,000 liters. However, in areas around the number 3 and 4 reactors, buildings are still left with collapsed walls and broken windows. TEPCO explained that not many workers were visible in the footage because it was taken during lunch break. The operator says that on weekdays, 3,000 workers are normally at that facility.
Okay, well, very interesting, isn't it? All right, well, moving right along, there are some, of course, lots of other interesting headlines here. Japan, France to propose nuclear efforts from NHK. Latest headlines from enenews.com. We have a German study about children near nuclear plants have double leukemia rates. Local government, 276,000 becquerels per kilogram of cesium sample found in Kashiwa. And again, maybe that's related to the hotspot that Japan Times is reporting in Kashiwa. Geiger counters going off their scales in Watari during a recent survey. High internal radiation exposure detected in young children. There's a new Gunderson video on clouds of radioactive steam. Oh, sorry, that's my own Gunderson video. Clouds of radioactive steam should not be coming from reactors if in cold shutdown. And then nuclear expert discusses melt-through at NRC meeting, and that's a link to a new Gunderson video, which I'll show you later on that I've got posted. From informable.com, we have a report from the Fukushima site, October 22nd, 2011. It's in Japanese. We have Fukushima Daiichi Nuclear Power Station reference materials. There's Reactor 3 equipment hatch opening pictures 1 and 2, and they show some internal damage to those hatches. November 1st public meeting, NRC's restart review and North Anna post-quake inspection. So people who are interested in North Anna, I believe that's taking place at 7 p.m. Eastern, November 1st. So click through for that for more details. And then other headlines, Japan's TEPCO to sell 20% stake in wind power unit. And that goes on to tell you that they've got this stake in this wind power firm that they're selling their shares, and they're expected to get a 10 billion yen profit from it. And compare that to the 1 trillion yen they're asking for a handout from the government. NRC to finish station blackout rulemaking in 2014. That's from Occupational Health and Safety Online. And finally, Tokyo to become dumping ground for radioactive rubble from Natural News. And that sources back to a Mainichi Daily News article from late September talking about how they're going to bury anything with 100,000 kilograms, becquerels per kilogram in cement and put it in special facilities that are protected against leakage from rainwater or ground into the ground water supply, supposedly. But of course, well, nothing was supposed to happen to Fukushima, wasn't it? So that's the Fukushima updates for today. Lots of updates as usual, and then more editorials. Japan Times has this interesting editorial, No End in Sight for Nuclear Crisis. And it's important. I really hope people will read through on this one because it's talking about the myth of the cold shutdown that they're talking about, and basically saying the state of cold shutdown that TEPCO and the government speak of does not meet the true definition of a cold shutdown, which, is kind of important because, of course, we've all heard now in the media that, oh, it's a cold shutdown, but they don't actually tell you. Well, they don't mean the actual term for cold shutdown. They're just calling it cold shutdown. Anyway, that's important. And then we have this from straight.com out of Vancouver. What are officials hiding about Fukushima? And it's talking about some of the radiation readings that have been reported in Canada and what Health Canada has and hasn't been saying about them. Again, very interesting, especially for Canadians like myself. And then finally today we have the Gunderson video that I talked about. Gunderson testifies to the NRC, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, about the safety of Mark I reactors like Fukushima. Again, a very interesting video, but I won't play it for you. I'll let you go click through it for yourself. Once again, thank you very much for all the feedback I'm getting through the contact form on Fukushima Update, and of course for all of the support that people who have subscribed in the last month or in the last week. I couldn't do it without you.